Hi. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Yeah,
But since we've been at home more, right?
yeah.
Snuggled up, snuggled in, it had me thinking a lot about like relationships, right? And
Hmm.
I saw this conversation on Twitter. And the conversations on Twitter, they always tend to, bring some new ideas for me. So tonight I want to talk about 50-50, right? 50-50 versus like true like partnership, right? How do they handle whether it's finances, whether it's chores around the house, whether it's childcare? How do people do it? And not just marriages, I guess people who also live together too, right? And so if
Hmm.
anybody know the 50-50 argument, is everybody saying like you're gonna put in 50%, like we're gonna pay 50-50. That's usually where the argument stops, right? It's not usually like I'm gonna do 50-50 of the housework, I'm gonna do 50% of the child care. It's usually 50-50. Like you're gonna put in 50 of your income, I'm putting 50% of my income. So I wanted to have this conversation is one, because you ladies are married. I'm separated, but you ladies are married. And so like do you think relationships can survive off 50-50 and not just financial, but 50-50 and all around? Or is it like a true partnership? Like I pay the mortgage, you pay the light bill, or we have someone who provides all together. Like a man just, you expect your man just provide. He pay all the bills 100%. What do you think?
To me, 50-50. I feel just depends. I think it should be 100-100 because sometimes you have to give a little more.
Doing 50-50. 50-50 like the house, the the lights, the bills, the groceries, the children. We're breaking it down 50-50. Everything that we need to help sustain us. I get my money, you get your money. We put it together and then we split it. Is that what you mean 50-50? Or you mean like we take the bills, you get like all the bills are 50-50?
So usually, like the reason why I think a lot of women have a hard time, even with the conversation of 50-50, it's because it's usually around finances and not around like housework or childcare. But where we're talking about 50-50 is say like all your bills put together is
Hmm.
$5,000, right? So that
Okay,
means
okay.
you pay 2,500, he pays 2,500.
No. So I think, and this is just Aisha, but I feel like if we are in a marriage and you should the head of the household, if they're able to, they should be able to cover 100% of everything. And me as their help person, I would definitely maybe take a load off. Like I'll take something off or I'll do my part to keep the house up, but I I'm not agreeing in the 50-50 thing. Bills get paid on 50-50. Yes, if both parties are disciplined, and if that's how it works at the time. And if you got to do 50-50, do that. But I think, it would be much better if the head of the household is able to pay it off of one check. Yes. Okay.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I think what I've do you think that in this economy, you know, that is financially most, I guess we're talking about household, right? Most men. That's what we're keeping it traditional right now, right? Because I know there's a lot of untraditional, but for us for conversation purposes, that most men are able to handle um, the bills and be the full provider, right? Do you think that? Like,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to be the full provider. 100%. I think 50-50. I feel that 50-50 is for people who are playing house. If you are not married, if you are in a relationship and y'all are trying to figure it out or y'all just stay together, if you boyfriend and girlfriend, I see 50-50. If y'all are not married to each other, you pay your half, I pay my half, then that part can see 50. But if you want me to be your wife, if you want to have, you said these vows to have and to hold, and you're the head of the house, I think you absolutely should be carrying the bills. And me as your person, because I hopefully ain't gonna, you don't marry no raggedy person, you know what I'm saying, where they can help you with the bills. Like, you know what, I see you doing a lot, I'm gonna do this, you know what I mean. And then it's okay if you drop the ball along the way, you know. Sometimes you let them know, like, hey, you know, I thought I had such and such, but I don't. That's where the marriage and the conversation steps in. Unlike when you boyfriend or girlfriend and you tell your person or your roommate that you living with, hey, I don't have enough of half of my, they had a right to cuss you out and put you out and forget about it because you are nothing. They have no commitment to you. So I think it just depends on what situation you're in. But, you know, in a marriage, for sure, I'm believing that, you know, my household, we gonna pay it off with one check. Amen. Okay.
So it depends though, because sometimes something can happen, the faults, and if you have to take on that financial burden, you just have to take it up.
Yes,
I
yes.
know
And
that,
that's
and
understandable. That's a
but then
crossroad.
correct, for a
Right.
time period. So it's not
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm going to take over
Yes.
every single thing for a time period because that's what happens.
Right.
Do you think somebody could do 50-50 in 2026? I agree with Aisha that yes, you can. But another thing is you have to communicate with your person, because if that person is using the money, they can use the money for whatever they want, but if they're spending it aimlessly on other things, like whether it's like gambling or drinking addiction,
Ooh,
or
ooh.
with other kind of things that they have, or
That's
giving it to other
irresponsible.
people,
That's
so, and they're
well,
being
I guess my
irresponsible on
question
top
is,
of.
if they are responsible for giving you the 2,500 in the bank, what they do
uh-huh.
with their other side of the money, does it matter as long as they're paying the 2,500? Because remember,
Right.
the bills are $5,000 a month, and they're putting the $2,500 in the bank, and whatever they have left over from, their paycheck is their money, right?
Yeah.
Well, it does matter a little bit, because the thing is, you need to save some of that money. Why can't they save $1,000 or 500, the remaining 2,500? They can at least save 500 from it, put in a savings account, because you should have a backup account. You never know what will happen for your family.
No,
So
That's
and I,
like,
right.
I don't disagree with you. I
right.
think that's
So, but I
conversations that you guys will have, right?
correct.
Yeah, yeah, about like your savings, but that's aside from the 50-50. If we want to save this, let's say we want to save $1,000 a month for our savings, then yeah, they can give $500. You put in 500. That's 50-50, right?
No, they put in 1,000, and I put in whatever I can afford at the time. They're the head of the house.
Yeah, just depends on. I think it depends on like more of a partnership. Who makes who makes, I guess, more money, right? So if whoever makes more money, I feel like probably has more money to put in to the,
Mhm.
to the economy, to put into the
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 relationship.
to the bank, right, to the relationship.
Right. Yeah.
um
Hmm.
and then the other person still puts in some, but they maybe to put in like 60% and you're putting in 40% or 70 or
Hmm.
30.
No,
And then like we could talk about 50-50 around the household, because like, but to me, I think economy. So for me, like, I made more money. I mean, a lot more money, right? And so it would be hard for me to ask that other person to be like, "Oh, you need to put this amount of money." That's gonna take. I mean, that takes about everything they got. Where it might
what
not
can I?
have done that for me because I made that. I made that.
Then I have a question. As in, did he put in 50-50, or you were expecting him to put in a little more when you made more
No,
money?
because
Do
I
you
made more
like,
money.
okay, so that means you did like maybe 75 and he did 25. Is that what you're saying? But you
Like
didn't, you did more than 50, correct?
The
yeah,
majority.
yeah.
So me, no, I
Yes.
wouldn't do that. I would still do 50-50. So that's why I said it's a time period, because at one point I did not mind taking up doing 100%. I sucked it up and did it, whatever. But when we're able to do have a little bit of money each, I think we should both do 50-50 and figure out, because we all have fun. We all spend our money on different things,
Right.
but you then have to be very responsible. So when we're able to both financially, we're doing 50-50. Whether I make more money, which has been, whether you make more money, which has been, we're doing 50-50, or which I think it should be 100-0, and whatever I can contribute, because no one calculates how much groceries are. Wait a minute, no one calculates how much groceries are. I pay for random grocery bills, random things. No one calculates whatever to keep the family alive.
You gotta make some
money. Hold on, you have to pay for things for your family members. For both sides, right?
No, I don't do that either.
Anything that's doing gifts,
nothing I gotta worry about. For me,
so they know who bought it, but it's for y'all.
Right. And like, so
that's not things I worry about.
Let me give you more, because you keep saying there's a reason why I'm saying it's not 0%. You all are talking about bills, but there's other things outside. What happens if something happens with, like,
I'm not talking about bills,
insurance or things? Who pays the extra? Could do that.
Well, that's money. That's money. But if we're talking about outside of finances, and we're all because 50-50 could also go into like housework, childcare, can go into like lawn
the
care,
car, yes, oil change,
right?
Yeah,
so
maintenance.
But if we're talking about finances, there's no way I'm gonna do.
Then I do 50-50. Then
I'm not doing 100-0. We ain't doing 100-0. I don't, so like for me, 50-50, we both make around the same, right? And so like, then like, okay, well, you could put in this amount, I'll put in that much amount of money.
That's why I was asking, is it just
if we both were making around? But if it depends, like if he's making more money, and let's say I don't make, I make what I make, and he makes a little bit more, he makes 2 times what I make, then I expect him to do a little bit more, and my money can go into like investing and saving.
That's why I was asking if it's just bills, because if it's just like the house bills, it's 100-0. But if it's everything else, like the car, the insurances, all these other things, then that's definitely 50-50. You calculate. That's why I asked that question earlier before we started. What are we talking about here? Because there's
that's bills. If we're talking about if we're talking about like doing dishes, we're talking about sweeping the floor. We're talking about if you have a house, like getting stuff around the house done. Like we're not talking about just money. So if we're talking about like house chores work, like who's doing that chore work for the house?
The funny thing is, for my household, a lot of times it's 100-0. I'm doing it, but I don't mind it.
Oh, okay.
So, or sometimes it's 75. Well, let me say 75-25, because but it does. So that's why I was asking specifically what we're talking about, because if we talk about that, then it's like, okay, I'm the one contributing 100% in that scenario, or 75%.
Are you talking about the chore work, the housework?
Whether it's housework, whether it's like some small little things.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah. Okay. So no, I need you to contribute. So like housework, I would say we can do 50-50. And that 50-50, I'll go in housework. Economics, financial, it just depends on like, economically, financially, like what's our salary? What are we making? If we both make around the same thing, then yes, we can go, like we can put both our monies in equally. If one person is making a little bit more money, then that person's put a little bit more money in, right? But if it's going to be housework, we do it in 50-50.
Again, it depends on the scenario. My thing is, if you're home most of the time and you work from home, I do expect you to do a little more. But if you're not,
I'm working.
Then
I'm working
too, but I don't mind. So that's what I'm saying. For certain things, I'm gonna.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm at home working.
You're saying because I'm at home working. Why would that ain't got nothing to do housework?
Yeah, they got nothing to do with anything. I'm focused on my work as if I would be at the building.
Yeah.
Now, if I can, I will.
At home baking and putting stuff up. Like I have to be on the screen. I have to do supervision. I have things I got to do. I have to meet responsibilities.
What I'm trying to say is that I do not mind doing more. But when I get exhausted, I say it and I do whatever I need to do with it. If I can't do it, then we're gonna get a house cleaner.
Why would I spend money when you have that person?
Well, if he doesn't want to, if the spouse doesn't want to help,
But
And the
why would he
only
want to help? Why would we waste money on a house cleaner when they're able
see,
bodied? Because he hasn't been doing it. I'm like, but I would see like we both are able bodies.
yeah.
Then we equally should be putting into the housework and getting things done around the house because we both are equally put it into like we both live here. Like we both wear the clothes. We both sleep in the bed.
Right.
We both dust accumulate. Around the house. All that stuff. We both got to eat food. Everybody got to eat. So you need to cook and
But
that's why I
you have
said
to
for
know
me it's more of a partnership. Like it's a
it is
partnership.
a partnership.
For me, that's what I'm saying. For me, a partnership
Oh,
is that we're both putting it equally into this partnership, right? If that sometimes could be 50-50, like when it comes to housework and stuff, it's 50-50. When it comes to finances and salary, it depends on who's making a little bit more. But that doesn't mean that I put in zero just because my spouse may be making 2 or 3 times more than me. It just means that, like, okay, this is how much I would contribute,
see
and versus
that.
how much he contribute. For me, it would have been like, look, we both live here. I don't mind washing clothes. You do better folding the clothes, right? I can cook on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. You cook the rest of the days, or maybe Fridays we go out to eat, or whatever the case may be. Like you enjoy mopping, you like cleaning the bathrooms. I can do the vacuuming, right? Like, if we both have kids, let's say we have kids, right? Like I don't mind helping them with homework, but you do the baths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, 50-50 when it comes to your marriage or it comes to just, who you're living with, of course. I remember like saying to my parents when I used to stay with them, like, you need to pull your weight. And then they look at me like, I know you ain't talking like I'm cool with cleaning the bathroom, but just know I don't want to clean it all the time. So clean up behind yourself. So I kind of give like little tips like I'm gonna clean it, but just help me keep it clean. That's all I say, or different things like that. And that's for everybody in the house, not just, it's not just my responsibility. We all live here. So I will put that responsibility on everybody. Would a cleaner be nice? Of course, but just having that conversation with everyone in the home because we all live there, it's a 50-50 job for, like I said, for everybody. So, I mean, it just depends on how your house flows, on how everyone gets along when it comes to household stuff. But I've already told you when it comes to finances, I think that it should be primarily the head of the household. And then we as women, we could just like, do the groceries, make sure the kids are good, make sure, everybody else is fine.
I don't believe in that head of household mess. I believe like we both
Ooh,
are
not
valued
mess.
and we both just like we just here. Like what makes you the head of the household?
Hmm. Well,
Because you agreed
I
on it.
guess,
Who's the
yeah,
head?
roles and
Roles.
right agreements, definitely roles, and we are a spiritual household, so the male for sure is considered the head of the household. But just even if I were to make more money than my husband, then I wouldn't consider. I wouldn't consider myself to be the head of the household to
You paying
cover
the
more
majority of
bills.
the bills because you make more money, right? Let's say you made
Yeah.
$130,000 and he made $50,000.
Uh-huh.
So that means that like you probably are covering majority of the bills, right? And you paying all majority of the bills because you make more money. Ain't no way I'm gonna give you head of the household title just because you're a man
Mm.
and I'm paying all these bills.
Mhm. Mhm.
What
So
does the head
I'm
of the
blessed
household
to
mean?
have, we both respect each other. Say, okay, you are the head of the house. We both respect each other with certain things. Uh, when I don't start having trust in the person, that's when it gets to be an issue. But what, just because you make more money, well, yeah, I agree. For the men, if you make more money, you're the one that has more responsibility. You probably have the final say. But I do think that both parties should be able to discuss it. And I'm going to give him the respect.
Okay, well, like I said, like spiritually, a person who is the head of the household is the person who God has ordained to lead your home and to cover your home, to help whatever it is. They are the leader of whatever, however your household goes. That is to me the head of the household.
But what
Um,
specifically makes men the leader of the household? The only difference is because they
because
have
they are
a title.
stronger, because they are different.
In what way?
They are called and chose.
in any relationship, there's no need to guide anybody to be head of household. I believe like there are certain things that like my partner may be better at, and I will like, like if he loves doing lawn, then yeah, you go out
Mhm.
there and you mow the lawn because I don't like bugs, so that's not for me, right?
Yeah.
But I may be better at saving just because I just have the skill set. So I'm gonna be the one to handle finances that way. He may
Okay,
be
and that's
better
Which is
at
good.
fine.
right.
That's good.
But I'm just trying to understand like what exactly like makes him head of household. Like what is he exactly gonna do?
Mm,
Like
I don't
absolutely.
think God was talking about a lot of them, but he was talking about some of them. You just
Mm.
have to put a respect factor in it and a trust factor. Now, when that is gone, that's when the issue becomes. But you just respect each other, allow him to try
but why do I
first.
need him to be the lead when we can have that both of us are leading together?
You both are leading. You both are leading certain things. Like you said, that maybe I'm better at doing taxes than you. Okay, then I'm taking on
Yes.
that responsibility.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying, but there's
There
no
you
head of
go.
household because I'm better at doing that. But that's what I'm saying. There's no head of household because not one person that's making decisions or about our
Okay.
finances, about our whatever, because we're talking that out together.
I
Like
got you. Let me
submission.
ask this question real quickly.
I guess
When you're filling out a
submit.
document to, let's say you're renting a place, when you're filling out a document to rent a place, right? They have a primary and a secondary. When you're filling out to rent an apartment, I'm just doing a generalized statement, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Who do you put as your primary and who do you put the secondary? Guess what I did? I put my husband first.
I put myself.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, my husband wanted me to put me because we knew the situation. And I said, you know what? I just gave him that respect and said, no, it's okay. We'll just put you.
But that's for you.
Yes. However, um, however, that is true. You want to, if you're both working in a household together, you want to communicate and share that and be able to get things done and communicate effectively within your home. Um, I'm not with I like I said, I'm not with the 50-50. It can be a lot. It really can be. It's hard to save, it's hard to do this. It's whatever. But when you have someone who wants to take care of your household and wants to do for you or wants to see y'all grow together, like, okay, hey, I know I make the most, I'll take this, I'll do that, without making another person feel bad about how much they have or what they can bring to the table, because it's about unity, you know.
Well, thank you, Aisha. I think that speaks a lot to like just changes that
You're
you've been
welcome.
through. And that, I do agree that, when you are in a relationship and if you guys decide to like be one, whether you decide to do untraditional way, right, and not get married or get married, right?
I don't want to cut you off, but seasons change and seasons change. Life happens. You're helping together. I think it's also just a mindset, honestly, because yeah, I mean, on paper and on whatever, you have to put the person's name down. They live there. You know what I mean? Both of y'all are together. You got to put your income down. You understanding between the couple, the communication between what we got going on.
Right.
That's what matters.
Right. And I mean that I think is communication because it's like if you're really, let's say you're a really busy person at work, but I do think it
Mhm.
takes that communication.
Finances.
I think for me, I just don't want to depend on one person's finances because I think when you put two
Mm,
finances together, you can have
my
more.
God.
Princess, any feedback? I think financially, I think that is smart where like you are utilizing the person who makes the most income, and that other person's income is for saving, right? Well, I think, ladies, for this conversation, it has been
I'm gonna stand. I really think it's a mindset. I really do. I think it's a mindset of how we treat our relationships and what we want it to look like. I
right.
really do. And what the goal is, and if both of y'all are working towards the goal. You just
Right.
gotta pray.
Yeah.
Yeah, see a future, see a goal.
I think that
Yeah.
what's the most important thing, what definitely many marriages have, you know, disrupted over is like finances, right? So I think it is important to
Hmm.
have that conversation before you get married about like
Hmm.
finances, right? Um, like the debt that you may have, what you're bringing into this relationship. Like, how are we going to
Mhm.
split finances? What is that going to look like? Who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for that, right? Regardless, if it is 50-50, if it's that person's the 100% the provider, regardless, I think you guys going to have that conversation before you walk down that aisle and you say, I do.
Right.
And you have
I
the
agree.
honeymoon.
I agree. You should do it before, even during, because there's different seasons too that would change.
Yes.
Uh,
Keep
definitely
talking about
during too as well. Right. Yeah.
keep talking about like, yeah, I
You're,
mean, people have a hard time talking about money, but if I'm
that's the
married to
issue,
you, I
I
need to know
think.
what you're making. I should know what you're
That
making.
too. Mhm.
This has been a lovely conversation. Thank you, ladies. And we,
Yes.
if you enjoyed the conversation, please like, subscribe, and share. Comment, right? Do you believe in 50-50? Do you want a man who provides 100%? Um, regardless, again, have those conversations. We love you guys. We love the likes and the shares and the comments that you've been giving us. Continue. I'm so happy to, be with these ladies today. Thank you.
Catch you at the next moment.
Bye.